welcome to the Blue Castle podcast. I am your host, Molly.
And I'm your other host, Sarah.
We are two, I hate to say it, but Disney adult sisters.
It's a little cringy, but yeah, you just gotta claim it. And in the words of Taylor Swift, don't shame people for loving what they love.
Don't yuck my yums. I don't know why I'm giving this talk to the people who are listening right now. If you're listening to this podcast, you're clearly agreeing with everything we're saying right now.
We're preaching to the choir.
Preaching to the choir. I doubt anyone is jumping into episode 1 of this Disney podcast to try to start to love Disney. It's a weird place to start, but if that is you, welcome.
Hi, Mom and Dad.
This is episode 1 of our fun little podcast. We hope to entertain, delight. We hope to be a place where you can come and listen and feel like you're a part of our little group that's going to Disney, talking about Disney, maybe debating Disney. If you have the same opinions as us, that's great. And if you don't, we should create some social media or something where they can tell us where we're wrong. Tell us if there's a better way to do Disney than we know.
Yeah, neither Molly nor myself have much experience actually posting on social media, so we'll see how that goes. But I do think we'll need to do that so we can engage with our audience that does not exist yet. But, you know, we want to make friends and build a community, and we'll do our best.
We have to start with building it. That's a hard concept, but we'll get there. Right now we're talking into the abyss about something we love, and if no one listens, that's okay, because this is a happy thing for us too.
Yeah, we do this anyway, so we figured let's record it and let other people live vicariously through our Disney ponderings. So today we're going to just briefly introduce ourselves. We kind of already have, but since this is our first episode, you guys don't really know us yet, unless you do, in which case, hi. But we're also going to talk about things associated with Disney. So our favorite kind of childhood Disney movie or memory or something kind of about the nostalgia of Disney in our lives. And then what made us Disney parks people and our overall favorite Disney memory in our lives. And that one was hard, so I might have a couple. But without further ado, you want to start?
Sure. The first prompt here is, do you remember when you became a Disney fan? What are your earliest memories associated with Disney? And when I think of Disney in general, it's kind of been a constant in my life and shown up in different forms, but earliest memories are definitely Disney Renaissance princess movies. Specifically, I really loved The Little Mermaid and I really loved Mulan. And looking back, I think that those are the two princesses that were a little more rebellious, a little more sassy, a little more, I can do what I want. I'm strong. I can be my own person, march to the beat of my own drum. And if you know me at all, you know that kind of would resonate with me. I don't love being told what to do, and I didn't love being told what to do when I was little. And Mulan and Little Mermaid both kind of said, you know, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to love the people around me, and I'm going to be happy as I can while doing it. I don't know. They were both just a little bit off the beaten path, I guess. Not as far as popularity, but just as far as their attitudes in their movies.
I like both of them a lot too.
Those were the two that I feel like I had on repeat when I was little. Mulan was probably a little bit later. Little Mermaid, I also just really liked that she was half fish. And that has nothing to do with her personality, but it was very fun to pretend to be Ariel in the swimming pool with my friends.
I don't remember doing that, but that's actually funny. I said Little Mermaid and The Lion King. So, I mean, I wouldn't say those are like my favorite movies or favorite characters now, but those are definitely the movies that, for whatever reason, we had playing on repeat enough for me to be like, some of the older movies like Swiss Family Robinson.
Oh yeah.
Was a big one. Pollyanna. I don't know, some of those really old ones, sometimes I forget those are even Disney. So I do remember those, but definitely Little Mermaid, Lion King. I mean, I still liked Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty. Definitely Mulan. And then obviously we got some others later, and there are some I'm sure I'm forgetting, but those are the main ones I think of when I think of our childhood.
I also went a little bit of a different direction with this too. Another thing I think of as formative years Disney related is Hannah Montana for me.
I was just about to say we can't not mention Disney Channel.
Once we got Disney Channel at the house, which I remember being very exciting when we finally got Disney Channel. Before that, we'd only had VHS, I think. I remember watching that, I guess the pilot episode or the premiere of Hannah Montana over and over and thinking like, this is so cool. This is such a grown-up show. I thought that was so grown-up of me.
She was iconic. I remember the previews of that. The wig and the transition of Miley to Hannah being just like the coolest thing ever, and the fact that they lived on a house that's like right on the beach. I remember that, but I also think High School Musical, Lizzie McGuire, and That's So Raven were like, because I'm older.
I thought about saying Lizzie in That's So Raven, and then I thought, no, I can't claim that. That's gotta be Sarah's.
Well, I think it's just, I mean, I'm like 3.5 years older than Molly, so I got into those shows like earlier. And so, yeah, I feel like those were my original favorites. And I was still young enough when Lizzie McGuire came. I mean, not Lizzie McGuire, when Hannah Montana came around to like her still. But it was like toward the end of the Hannah Montana reign was kind of like, okay, I'm not so into a Disney Channel anymore. But anyway.
I've kind of gotten into High School Musical again just because I live in Salt Lake City, which is where they filmed everything at East High. So actually, Sarah came to visit me. Sarah lives in the Dallas area, and I live, this is Molly talking, I live in the Salt Lake City area. And when Sarah came to visit me last weekend, I drove her by East High for the first time. And it's actually a real high school that's actually called East High. When you drive by it, if you're a person that was raised on High School Musical and that was like a big deal to you, like it was to us, it's like almost a chills moment. That's a little dramatic, but
there was a girl driving in, like she was in the passenger seat, and I think it was probably her dad driving, and she was like aghast, like mouth, jaw to the floor, like just so excited and in awe of what she was saying. I mean, it's nothing, like it's literally exactly what you see on the movie, but for me, the outside wasn't like shocking. I don't know why. It was seeing the inside and being like, that could very well be the staircase that Vanessa was like, I don't even remember what song she was singing, but I can picture her outfit. And she was like so sad, and Troy was all popular and stuff outside, and she was, oh, it's funny when you find yourself looking from the outside. I'm standing here and all I want is to be over there. Oh, that's the moment.
She slayed.
She slayed. Vanessa, Gabriella.
And because it is an active high school, they don't let, random washed up mid-20s to 30-year-old women inside. So props to them. They really shouldn't be letting random people like us in. But if they ever want to safely allow the public in to tour it, that would be an absolute dream.
I'm pretty sure they do, or they have. I just don't know the frequency, but
I would pay more money than I should to get a tour for that. Anything else to add to early Disney memories, Sarah?
No, I feel like that is a dangerous territory to get into when we start talking Disney Channel. Hopefully you're down for that kind of chatter. We're mostly going to be talking about Disney parks on this show, but
we could have a full podcast episode about that. However, that's probably not what I think people want to hear about.
It'd be interesting as, an experiment to see how many downloads or listens or whatever, to see how that episode performs compared to others that are more Disney parks focused. But anyway, maybe one day we'll do that. Okay, so our next question is basically what made us Disney parks people? What was the experience, or I don't know, what pushed each of us to our obsession?
I'll go. So the first time I went to Disney World, I think it was the first time either of us went to Disney World, I was 3. I have almost zero memories from it. Enough memories to know that I wanted to go back, but I can't even pinpoint like anything about it. Memory that comes to mind of the first time I kind of fell in love with Disney parks was back when I was in college and Sarah was a new graduate of college. We actually decided to get annual passes to Universal Studios. We did that on repeat for a little while just because Sarah works for an airline, so we had free flights. But when you fly into Orlando and you're just beat bopping around Orlando, you see billboards, you see families going to the parks. It's very clear that that is a city that is dominated by Disney. It is the house of the mouse. So that kind of got me thinking more about Disney World, even though we weren't there to go to Disney World. But it did inspire us to put a little bit of money together and stay. We only stayed 2 nights at one of those like Good Neighbor off-property hotels. I think it was a Best Western. It was nothing fancy, but it was a higher budget thing to do than any of the other trips we had gone on. But we had one day. It was in a park hopper pass, and we went to 3 out of the 4 parks. We went to Magic Kingdom, Animal Kingdom, and Epcot.
Yeah, no Hollywood Studios.
No Hollywood Studios. Hollywood Studios was not the park it is today at the time. That was definitely the one to not go to at that time. But it got me hooked. It got me so hooked. We were going all day, from early morning hours to shutting the parks down. And we ended the day by seeing the fireworks over the castle. And I didn't cry. I know I didn't cry, but I felt this pure nostalgic joy in my heart that only a Disney fireworks show can give you. And ever since then, I'm either planning a trip to the parks or thinking, when am I going to plan my next trip to the parks? I don't know if we've gone, other than COVID 2020-ish time frame, I don't think that we've gone a year without going to a Disney park, whether it was Disneyland or Disney World.
Yeah, which is weird because we literally were there for one day and we became obsessed. And I actually think the fact that we weren't able to go again, like right after we went, and we couldn't go for like at least a full year, but it ended up being almost 2 years. That almost made it grow.
The first trip that I remember that I went on when I was in college, that was 2019.
Yeah.
January. Well, actually, I don't know what month it was, but I know it was 2019. So we caught the Disney bug, or at least I did, right before the world shut down and the park shut down. And we had all those unprecedented times that everyone talked about.
So mine's a little different, but not, because obviously we went on the same trip. And I agree that trip was like the spark that lit the flame, so to speak. But I just don't know if it would have stuck the way it did if it weren't for the COVID times. And because we, like, at least I, and I know you did too, used Disney vlogs like on YouTube and Disney Plus and the Imagineering series. Like, those were some of the core things that we used as entertainment during COVID as escapism.
Oh, definitely.
So I think that all of that stuff was huge. And I'm going to shout out to some of our favorites, at least at the time. Some of mine have shifted. Not that I don't like the original people we liked anymore, but I have more now. But we loved Disney Food Blog. We loved Molly, who used to be from All Ears. Now she's Mammoth Club.
Tim Tracker was a big one for us.
Tim Tracker. And we got into him because of Universal at first, because we started out, with the Universal annual passes, like Molly said. But then he kind of introduced us to Disney more. And then we had our tiny little taste of it from that one day. So
honestly, if we could have gone bowling or just gone out into public and gotten a social fix in other ways, I don't know if I would have turned to those Disney vlogs. But when the world was shut down and basically it was a shameful thing to leave the house, we started thinking, where would we go if we could go anywhere right now? We were craving social, we were craving good vibes out in public, and we had just gone to Disney. And when you look on YouTube, there's so many vlogs of people just existing and living a happy life in a non-pandemic world, and that was so soothing.
Yeah. And to give it a little bit of context, so at this time, I'm graduated and I've had my big girl job for a while, but I still had my apartment and everything in Dallas, but I moved back to Oklahoma. We're from Oklahoma. And Molly was finishing up her senior year of college virtually in early 2020. So Molly and I were home with our parents in Oklahoma doing all kinds of nothingness for the pandemic times. And so anyway, I think of that as what really made me a Disney park person, because we were doing research basically without thinking of it as that. It was escapism at at its peak. We were binge watching. I mean, literally, I could not tell you how many DFB videos we watched just back to back to back. It was awesome.
It was so soothing, but it was also so painful because
we were torturing ourselves in the best way.
And at the time, we didn't know, will these parks ever open up in the same way again? Will these snacks that DFB is covering exist when they reopen? Spoiler alert, a lot of those snacks did not exist when they reopened. They changed quite a few menus.
I think a lot of them are back. Every once in a while, I would watch a more current one where they were covering updates or whatever, but actually like those gave me the ick. And I was like, no, let's pretend it's before times. It's the before times. And AJ is just going to tell me about her favorite mac and cheese, Wine Bar George, and all the other deliciousness and fun. Anyway, okay, I think we rambled on about that enough.
Do you want to kick off this next one? Our next category is favorite Disney World memory. So that could be a Disney World park memory or a resort or Disneyland for that matter. Why not?
I didn't even consider Disneyland. Oh.
If you've been in a Disney bubble, it counts.
Okay, so I'll go first. My first favorite memory is our first day with our big family trip. So Molly and I are sisters. We have an older brother and sister-in-law and niece and nephew. And they were all sick / not all sick, but kind of. They were not with us the first day of that trip. So we were doing Animal Kingdom without them, but with Molly and I and our parents and Molly's boyfriend. And then the next day was the first day we all got to go to the parks, and we went to... Did we go to Magic Kingdom first?
No, the very first day we went to
Epcot.
Well, Animal Kingdom was our first day while the others were being sick. And then because the day that we went to Animal Kingdom was originally supposed to be Magic Kingdom, but the kids were sick, we moved that to multiple days later because that was supposed to be our off day.
Okay. So Epcot was our first everyone together day?
Yes, because we ended on Hollywood Studios, so that means that Epcot would have to be the first.
Okay, that's what I was originally going to say, and then I started questioning myself because I knew what our plan was to do Magic Kingdom first. But that trip got all kinds of wonky, but it was still great. So our first day all together, we went to Epcot, and our first ride was Ratatouille, and Ben, our nephew, who at the time was 6 or 7? 6. I think he was like a couple months from 7. But he wanted to sit with me because he knew, and I don't think he realized the extent of Molly's knowledge too, but he knew I was a Disney expert. And I think he was also kind of still scared of Molly's boyfriend. So, steering clear of her. But
it was their first time meeting my boyfriend. My boyfriend is not scary,
no.
But it was the kids' first time meeting him, and they were a little intimidated and slow to warm.
Yes, yeah.
They got there.
Yeah, eventually they were besties. But the point is, Ben wanted to sit with me, and he had a blast, and it was his first, really cool ride. I had never been, that big a fan of Ratatouille, but really seeing it through a little kid's eyes was just a whole nother level because of the 3D and the screens, but also the trackless ride and just kind of losing track of what's going on and being fully immersed, and the fire, all of it was just, he was so fascinated by it. And I think we rope dropped it.
Ben was also the one who wasn't sick. Remember? He wasn't sick that first day, but everyone in his family was. So
yeah.
Day one at Disney World, really, this little 6-year-old is cooped up in a room all day with sick people. And then by the time we did this early park entry in Epcot, that little kid was itching to go. He was so excited.
They did get to go to the pool the evening before.
They did, but they missed out on what was supposed to be their first park day.
Yeah.
And we waited 0 minutes for that Ratatouille ride because it was early park entry. So this little kid walks straight into Epcot through the, what is it called?
Port of Entry, International Gateway.
The Skyliner entry, whatever that one is.
Yeah, International Gateway, I think.
We stayed at Art of Animation, but from his eyes, it was his first few steps into a Disney park. He waited not at all, walked into this amazing ride, and I think he loved the movie Ratatouille already.
Yeah.
It was just, I could hear his giggles from a different cart. I was not on the same car as you guys, and I could hear Ben's giggles. I think Anna was still a little confused. But
Well, Anna doesn't react. Anna's younger. She, at the time, was, I know she was 2, almost 3, because she was free. It was free for her to get in. She's younger and she just doesn't like react to things as much with her face, but she still like loves them and enjoys them. She's just not as like expressive. Well, unless she really wants to be, and then she can be. But
I was about to describe her as very stoic, which is true, but she can also be like very, very expressive and slap happy.
yeah, yeah. So she's kind of all over the place. But like when you want her to be reactive, she's not going to, just to spite you.
Like when she is her most excited, she's going to show no expression on her face. Like she met Belle and got to hold Belle's hand and walk with her in Epcot.
Mm-hmm.
And from my memory and from the videos that I've seen of it, you couldn't tell if she was having a good time or not. But when she reported out on it afterwards, it was the best moment of her life and it was amazing.
Yeah, that is my favorite memory. That was so fun. And then he was like, oh, I want to, like, can we go again? I'm like, oh, sorry, buddy. Like, the line is going to be long now because Rope Drop, like, couldn't fully explain it to him. But I was like, but we can go later in the day because we could still get
Fast Pass
or lightning lane for it. So,
oh yeah, sorry, lightning lane.
I know everyone still says it wrong sometimes. But anyway, so we got a lightning lane and did it again later. But that's my first favorite memory. It was just iconic. And that just kicked off for me the whole mentality of like that whole trip we got to see through the eyes of little kids that have never been before. And our sister-in-law, Bonnie, had never been. And Sam hadn't been. Our brother hadn't been in forever. So
that was very fun. It's fun. It's a little more stressful to go with the big group of people who have a wider range of interests and things they want to do in the park. But it is very fun to actually be with the little kids who, I mean, Disney's not just for little kids. It's for everyone. I truly believe there's something for everyone there. But when it's me and Sarah that go together and there's no one else with us, we are much more likely to blaze right past the character meet and greets. And maybe we don't, I'm ashamed to say, maybe we don't notice as many details, Disney details around because we're not as attentive. We don't stop to smell the roses very well. And I think we've probably gotten a little better at that over the years. But with little kids, you have to slow down because they're not going to keep up with you the whole time. They've got to have their applesauce and popcorn and they want to meet Mickey. There's just a different list of priorities.
yeah.
But it's good. It's really fun because it actually makes you stop and enjoy different aspects of the park.
Agree. All right. So what's yours?
So one that comes to mind, and I already kind of hit on this a little bit in my first why I love Disney bit, the first time in my adult life seeing the fireworks over the castle, I would say it blew my mind, but it more blew my heart. It
Wow.
made me feel, I know, it's poetry. It made me feel so nostalgic. It was Happily Ever After, which they're actually doing Happily Ever After again now. So I really want to see that show again before they retire it, or maybe they never will. It is so amazing. It makes you feel all the feels. It makes you feel like you can do anything, be anything, chase all of your dreams, quit your job.
Because you are the magic.
You are the flipping magic.
You can make money grow on trees. You don't need to make a living.
Yeah, real world concerns do not apply when you're watching a fireworks show or a Disney water show or anything like that. So that's one. Another thing that comes to mind is a slightly more recent trip than that first one. This was one time that Sarah and I went and we stayed at Art of Animation for a few days, and then we stayed at the Polynesian Resort for 2 nights, which I would say at the time that was a budget stretch, but it would still be a budget stretch today. This was a couple years ago, and it was very pricey, and I did not have that much money to my name, but I remember thinking, this is a once in a lifetime thing. I've heard so much great stuff about the Poly. I want to try it. And staying there for 2 nights, it was bougie and it was relaxing. And we got to watch the fireworks over the castle from our own patio. And we each got our own bed, which I don't know if any of you out there are familiar with the struggle of this, but whenever you travel with, a big group of your family, often Sarah and I have shared a bed together, and that's not the most relaxing or ideal for either of us. So to have this beautiful hotel room set in this beautiful tropical setting and each have our own amazingly comfy beds, a wonderful bathroom,
Moana theme.
Moana themed. It was also the last 2 nights of our trip, and we were done with our park days. So all we had left to do was relax and enjoy what was already kind of my favorite resort before I even stayed there. And after those 2 nights, I am even more of a fan. If I had the money, I would stay at deluxe resorts every time. Nothing against the value ones, but man, those deluxe are just that. They are deluxe. And I love the tropical feel of the Poly.
I agree that the Poly is awesome, but I think even if I was a billionaire like Miss Taylor Swift, sorry, not sorry, I'm going to mention her probably more than is acceptable to most people, but it is what it is. But I think I would still stay at moderates, and I've never stayed at a moderate or values.
I was just thinking that we have never stayed at a moderate. We should do that.
That sounds like we stay at deluxes often. We've stayed at the Poly one time, and that was our deluxe experience. And other than that, we've stayed at values. When I resort hop just for fun, it's just so cozy and comforting being around these big families at Art and Pop and the All Stars. It's just a specific vibe. So I think I would still stay there sometimes, but the deluxes are very nice. Is that it on yours?
Should we keep popcorning?
Yeah, I'll give another one. Mine's from the same trip. That trip was just so good because we had the full fam there and it was just so fun. But the night we went to Magic Kingdom, I might be stealing one from Molly, and it's similar to yours. So we had gotten ice cream in Tomorrowland because it was not busy and we all kind of wanted something sweet, and it was just perfect. It was like very yummy ice cream, nothing special, like nothing fancy. And we were kind of running later than we intended to the fireworks show. At the time it was Enchantment, still 50th anniversary time. And we were just walking by and Molly was in the lead, so she was at the front. So something was happening up ahead and they had blocked off a walking path and that they were now letting people stand in for the fireworks, which meant they were like, oh yeah, you can come in here now. Like, we're not blocking this off anymore. So we got like basically ushered in to this perfect view, dead center, pretty close, magical moment for sure with our ice cream.
For context, people had been waiting, like all the way down Main Street was crowded and packed with people who had been waiting, except for the small walking path down the middle. They were just letting us fill in that walking path dead front and center in front of the castle.
Which I feel like it would be almost impossible to recreate that ever again. And maybe there are people who are more experts than us out there who know the timing and that's something they always do or something. But it was just so perfect. And we were just so happy with the ice cream. I know you know this. If you're out there listening, you've been really to anywhere where you're like waiting. If you have to wait a long time, we didn't have to wait that long because we were kind of running late. It was like maybe 20 minutes or something. But when you have a yummy snack and you're anticipating something that you know is just going to be so magical. And I had seen like clips of it from stuff, but we had literally never seen it before. Or no, had we seen it before?
I hadn't. I don't know about you.
Okay. I think I had just seen clips on blogs or something. Sometimes I confuse reality with vlogs. But it was just fun. And that I knew like our parents and Molly's boyfriend had no idea what they were in for. Just because it's been so long since any of them had a clue, like the magnitude of the fireworks shows in 2000. I don't even know what show was going on in the year 2000, but it was not the caliber of, I'm sure there's nostalgia factor, but
I was probably asleep in my stroller anyway.
Oh yeah, no, like mom and dad probably didn't, whatever they remembered had nothing on Enchantment or Happily Ever After. Harmonious, yeah. That whole evening was just perfect. The only thing that was kind of sad about it is that we had gotten separated from Sam and Bonnie and their kids, but they had a good view and they were fine where they were at, so it was good.
And honestly, this was the last day of the trip. I think that Sam and Bonnie, our brother and his wife and their family, they might have intentionally lost us a little bit. Big family trip, last day of it. I think they might have needed just some family time with their little individual family unit.
Yeah, I kind of remember thinking it was probably good or for the best, but
that was a great trip, though. That was so fun.
That was a great.
One that came to mind whenever you were talking about the fireworks was how much I actually loved World of Color 2. Is that what it's called? World of Color
1.
Why is there a World of Color 1?
Someone has to start. It only takes one person. That's the whole concept.
Oh, well, World of Color 1, for those of you who don't know, and I'm guessing this is more unfamiliar than maybe Happily Ever After, but Worlds of Color 1 is a water show primarily. There's some pyrotechnics too that happens at Disney California Adventure at the Disneyland Resort. It is so heartfelt and inspirational and nostalgic, which I feel like that's how I describe all things Disney. But this one was almost especially so because it feels more intimate. It's not as big and flashy as a Disney Magic Kingdom fireworks show, and it's not as crowded. I think it's not as crowded because it's so underrated. But if you guys ever get the chance to go to to go to Disneyland in California, A, do it, and B, really give Disney California Adventure the respect it deserves. I love that park. I love that park so much. That might be my number 2 Disney park in the US. Disney California Adventure. Love it so much. And that nighttime show was so good. I don't know why I thought that because it didn't have fireworks, it couldn't be amazing. But I don't even think it's the fireworks that do it for me in those shows. It's the music, it's projections, it's
the combo. Because really, even if you have a fireworks show without fireworks, it's not quite at the same level. That like enhances it in a way you don't realize. But there was something different. Part of it is knowing that they've had World of Color for a long time. Obviously, World of Color 1 is like a new version of it and there's new aspects to it, but there are some like kind of classic aspects of it. But it was also so cool because there's so much Marvel and Star Wars in it and just characters that you don't see in most Magic Kingdom, Disneyland kind of like classic settings. It was just like unique and cool. And obviously the water aspect of it was like different than most of the shows you see. Really, I mean, I guess Harmonious had some water aspects, but
it's wild. I had no idea until I saw that show that you could project on water, which I should have known because I saw Harmonious, which is an Epcot fireworks show they used to have, which was mainly fireworks, but they also had some projections that were on water, but I don't think I processed at the time that that's water. So basically they squirt water into the air in a misty type of a way. I don't even know how they do it. And they project on it and you can clear as day see Mufasa, Moana, the Millennium Falcon, whatever, on these moving water screens.
It makes me want to watch it on YouTube right now. I'm going to go watch it again. I totally forgot some of those pieces of it.
Our Disneyland trip that time, that trip was for Sarah's 30th birthday. And it was my mom, our dad, and then the two of us. And we were beat at that point. That was our second park day. We had done really long park days. I think we were debating skipping it and just going back to the hotel, but we decided to stick it out and it was so worth it. I'd already mentally decided that I wasn't going to like it because I was so tired and I didn't think it was going to be that good for some reason, but it was amazing.
I was determined. I was so determined to say, because the first and only other time Molly and I had ever been to Disneyland, we made the terrible mistake of skipping World of Color, not World of Color 1, but just World of Color, to try to do Soarin' again, which was silly because we had been on Soarin' plenty of times in Disney World and it was the same Soarin'. It wasn't the Over California one that we'd seen before. And then the line was like, it said 15 or 20 minutes and it was not even close. We were just standing there forever and I was like, why didn't we just do World of Color? But so this time I was like, I'm going to see it.
You wanted to see World of Color, but it was kind of like if the vibe's right, I wouldn't mind seeing World of Color.
Yeah, I regretted it more in retrospect.
I think World of Color 1 is more well-liked now, but I Don't really know. Never saw the first one.
I need to go watch the other one that would have been going on while we were there to see if it's different. I know that they said they improved the quality and that the visuals are a lot crisper, and they added like the Marvel section. I don't know if the Star Wars section was there before, and it's like that song is different. So I know it's very different, and I think the quality is better. So I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't have hit the same, but it was definitely better than I thought.
That quintessential World of Color song is about starting a wave and how it only takes one person to make a change and, do great things in the world, but someone has to start it. It's very inspirational, but I completely misheard the lyrics the first time. And the first time I ever heard it was at the actual show, and I thought this guy was singing "Someone Has to Stop Me." He was so hype, and someone's got to hold me back, someone's got to stop me, and I was like, yeah, that's awesome, someone's got to stop me.
Amazing. I know that guy's voice. What's funny, this is random, but I looked him up, and it's the guy, he opened for Ben Rector, and I saw him live, this guy that opened for Ben Rector, and he played with Ben Rector, and then he was on either The Voice or American Idol. And he did decently well.
I want to say American Idol, but I know nothing, so I shouldn't say that.
Disney loves to pick up people from American Idol and The Voice for their like nighttime shows.
All this talk is making me want to pack my bags right now. And the good news for me and Sarah is that we have a Disney trip upcoming in about a month where we're going to Disney World, but we aren't going into any of the major parks. We're going to a water park, and we are staying at Pop Century, which neither of us have stayed at before, but I am very excited.
Which is wild. It really is like the perfect fit for us. It's just funny that we've never stayed there.
We're big Skyliner girlies, big Skyliner girls.
Yeah, which I feel like is not unique, but it bears repeating. Like, the Skyliner is the move. Like this trip, the whole goal for us, it's not even like a theme for fun. It's like, no, we legit both want to like make this really cheap because then we can go more often. If we're doing these quick little short trips, then we can go in March and then we can go again in September and do a bigger trip, which is the plan.
Also, Sarah and I are incapable of not maximizing a park ticket if we have it. So I've heard people say like, oh, do a half day in the park and then go relax by the pool. We're not annual pass holders, and we're also very frugal girls, and we think very efficiently. We're industrial engineers by degree, if you know what that means. Basically, it means we're going to maximize every minute that we have in the parks and every dollar that we put into the parks, and it's almost like a game for us to beat the parks.
Yeah. We're always going to rope drop, and we're almost always going to stay until at least really late. If it's closing crazy late, then maybe not the whole time. But I will say, I think our mindset is changing of like, we maximize every dollar for enjoyment and not for like checking the boxes.
We know what we like a little more now. We're not just trying to sample everything. We know what we're about a little bit more in the parks.
Yeah.
But all of this to say, if we have a park ticket, we are not going to be relaxing at all on that day. That's still very true. So this upcoming trip to Orlando and to Disney World, where we have 0 park tickets, I expect to be chilling a lot, doing a lot more of the smelling the roses and taking it slow.
Resort hopping, casual use of the transportation.
The only reason we're even considering going to a water park is that we went a little under a year ago and we got rained out and we got a free return ticket. So might as well. I mean, the return ticket's going to expire in June, so we have to use it before then. And even if we don't want to go swimming, we've never seen Blizzard Beach. So that is definitely on my to-do list. Even if we don't touch the water.
Have we confirmed?
I haven't confirmed. We should look that up.
I looked it up a while ago, and basically it was like not something that they had released yet, but maybe by now it's been released. All I saw was that it usually switches from Typhoon Lagoon to Blizzard Beach in mid-March, and we're going to be there. Or was it reverse? I think Blizzard Beach to Typhoon Lagoon. That makes more sense. Because when we were there, it was Typhoon Lagoon and it was summer. And Blizzard Beach is quite literally blizzard winter.
Great news. Disney's Blizzard Beach Water Park is available now through March 16th, 2024.
Yes.
It'll be closed for refurbishment beginning March 17th. So we are just barely going to make it to Blizzard Beach.
Amazing.
A year ago when we went to Typhoon Lagoon, Blizzard Beach wasn't even an option because it was down for its big overhaul refurbishment. But Blizzard Beach, here we come.
Yay. I'm pumped for that. I'm pumped that it's not Typhoon Lagoon. Like, I'm as pumped as you can be for a water park in March. But hey, maybe it'll be really warm when we're there and it'll be like the perfect like summer fix for I'm pumped that it's Blizzard Beach. I hope that the weather is good enough that we can fully enjoy being at a water park. And if not, no big deal. We'll at least get to explore.
I'm mentally prepared to just treat it like a resort that we're park hopping to.
Yeah.
Where like we might not even wear swimsuits if we know we're not getting in the water, but wear our shorts and t-shirts or whatever makes sense. Get a little treat, find a place to sit for a while, take in the vibes. I want to see everything I can see, but if we don't get wet, that's okay, especially if it's cold.
Yeah. If it's really warm though, we may be like, this is actually perfect. It's hot. And if there's a wave pool, we may be at the wave pool all day.
I don't know if they're as known for their wave pool as Typhoon Lagoon is.
I mean, Typhoon makes sense that they would have a crazy wave pool. I don't know. We'll see. I hope. Oh my gosh. What if we can meet a surfer vibe of Olaf? Does that exist?
I don't know. I have heard they do character meet and greets, but the ones I've heard of are like Stitch, Lilo.
But that was Typhoon Lagoon.
Oh yeah, you're right. I don't know. I'm purposely going to avoid seeing any videos about it between now and then, just because.
Yeah, let's be surprised.
There are so many things that I've spoiled for myself by watching vlogs, and spoiled being a relative term. It's much more magical when you see it in person, even if you've seen the vlog. But
yeah, it's not really spoiled. It's just partially known instead of all surprise. I agree. Let's just go into it blind and see how we feel. I think the only thing I might research is if there are certain times, because if we're playing it chill, but they only come out at like certain times and we're not going to hit those, it might be helpful to know. But I won't tell you if I learn anything about specific characters. Fun. Oh, that makes me excited.
When we get closer to the time of our trip, we should look up what day is supposed to be the warmest and go to the park on that day.
Yeah.
Go to the water park that day.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Okay, well, anything else?
No, this has been fun.
So fun. Wow.
Wow.
We're so good at podcasting.
Yeah, congratulations to us. You couldn't even tell we were beginners on this one. We are so amazing.
Yeah, you had no idea. We're so good at this.
I mean, I think that you could put us up against the best of them.
Exactly.
Thanks for listening to the first episode ever of Blue Castle Podcast. You are all kings and queens and princes and princesses to us. Welcome to the Castle fam. Glad you're here. This is somewhat what you can expect to see and listen to on future podcasts, but I expect us to evolve and, dare I even say, get better over time.
I mean, I would hope. And honestly, by get better, I think we mean probably just more comfortable and probably have more interesting topics. We'll figure out what's actually interesting to listen to over time. I personally am very excited for detailed pre-trip and post-trip recaps. Shout out to WDW Prep to Go, Shannon and team. We love those pre and post-trip. I love the style of the pre-trip and post-trip episodes. And so I'm looking forward to those. We'll also, I'm sure, do plenty of, top 10 lists. And
we also have some unique ideas up our sleeves that I haven't heard anyone use personally, so hopefully we can
spice things up,
give a little different flavor, spice things up compared to some of the podcasts you may be listening to. Obviously we're all talking about the same overall overarching topic, but maybe we can present it in a little bit different light, some different opinions, bring a little different perspective in to zhuzh up your lives.
And yeah, and regardless, I mean, there are so many Disney lovers out there. I think that maybe we'll find our people. I hope so.
I'm addicted and I just can't get enough.
Anyway, I think that's it for this episode. I think we're going to call it
I gotta stop. Somebody stop. Someone has to stop me.
So is it someone has to start it? Someone has
Yeah.
to start it. Yeah.
But I thought it was someone has to stop me.
I like both versions. They're just a little different vibes. Anyway, see you later, castle dwellers.
Bye.